So we have for the following 30 minutes or so flash regarding the role of technology in the support of sustainability of the planet. Let us introduce ourselves. First, our colleague from Green Group.
I'm Constantin Damov, CEO of Green Group Romania, recycler of electronic waste equipment.
I'm Valentin Negoiță. I'm one of the co-organizers of this beautiful two-day summit. And on my right is my colleague Dragoș Călugăru.
Yes, hello, I'm Dragoș Călugăru, General Manager of ECOTIC. We are in charge with electronic recycling, part of the sustainability of this subject of today.
Okay, so I would ask Sorina to play again the 1.5 or whatever minute video, just to have, let's say, a pretext for a discussion. Okay, so the short video which was presented but probably not noticed by everybody is devoted to a revolutionary, let's say, invention, which is the newly discovered packaging for water. It's an algae membrane which contains water and which was distributed for the first time ever in this year's London Marathon. Let's have a look at this short video, if possible. If not, we can start with yes, there we go. So we can speak now of
it's becoming clearer and clearer that to get trustworthy information, you need to go to a place where you can trust a brand.
And of course, this new invention contributes to the prevention of pollution with the PET bottles, or in Britain start with, and probably later on. But that's also a challenge for our colleague from Green Group, which is the major recycler of PET bottles of Romania, and he probably can confirm or not, let's say, the validity and the benefits of this new invention. I would like to start today's flash by reading and presenting to you a call to action which was presented last March in a big forum organized by Digital Europe in Brussels, which identifies the, let's say, top 9 criteria and priorities of a unified digital Europe. Number one in this call to action is the digital single market, and we will probably not go into depths because it's not our business of today. Number two is digital inclusion, which makes, let's say, all the citizens of Europe beneficiaries of the, let's say, benefits offered by the digitalization of the economy, of the social life, of the society in Europe. And number three, here we come, is green growth, and I will stop with that because all the other, let's say, items on the list are not, let's say, the subject of our discussion of today. So green growth is a prerequisite for a sustainable, durable society, which is called for by European Commission and by most of the European governments, including ours. So with this forward, I would hand over the mic to our colleagues to go into details with some, let's say, reflections about sustainability and about the role of today's and tomorrow's technology in contributing to the prevention of pollution and to safeguarding the planet. Will you?
So today, the fastest growing production in the world, it's obviously the electronic and IT devices. It's the fastest growing production among all other industries with a higher speed than automotive. Practically, we are seeing more and more devices around us. There is no field of activity which is not subject of digitalization. Well, there is a consequence in all that, because we are seeing a lot of equipment which they are becoming obsolete very soon, or they end their cycle of life, and we are seeing more and more waste generated by this activity. Of course, the discussion we are now opening is a little bit different from previous panels where here people discuss about concept, trust, about digitalization in its own philosophy. But we have to understand that digitalization and IT industry, like any other activity, is creating, at the end, an environmental impact. And I have to say that today, producers and the distributors are all driven by profit. And I suspect that a big part of this profit is by outsourcing the cost for environmental impact. So many companies are trying to play their sustainable, environmentally friendly, but at the end, everything becomes a cost, and every company is trying to diminish this cost. Remaining in our field of electronic devices and IT, I will say that such a waste is the most complex waste generated by humanity in the history. If we take a laptop, we'll find inside, chemically speaking, almost all elements from a Mendeleev table. There is a lot of resources inside, and of course, the first idea is, can we get back all these resources? And what is the impact for the environment? Impact for environment, we can speak about greenhouse gas emissions, CO2 footprint, and pollution by itself. And when we say pollution, we have to mention that there are a lot of heavy metals inside all this equipment, that if they are not really managed very careful, they have a huge impact, not only to environment, but also to our health. We've seen today a lot of movements in order to decrease the costs, and you know there is a lot of traveling of this electronic waste around the world. A lot of electronic waste have been moved from Europe, United States, to China, or to Africa, where at the end there are a lower restriction environmental. Well, I think that more recycling of this equipment is less mining and also is less emission. Practically, we have been measuring, not us, but institutions around the world, the impact for the greenhouses gases. And the result is, by recycling, we are seeing a diminishing with a minimum 50% of emission. That is a good reason to pay attention to what is happening at the end of the cycle with the equipment that is making our life easier, more comfortable, and is generating very good data and systems for us. Going on the other side of digitalization, I will say that in our activities, digitalization is very, very important to create this traceability of every equipment, not only during the life, but also after the life cycle, and also can create a very good database which can be very well analyzed, environmentally speaking, and at the end to make a good measurement. So I think that digital behavior should not exclude the attention on its own waste generated. Thank you. I will pass the microphone to my colleagues.
Thank you. Now my colleague Dragoș will have an intervention.
Okay. Everybody loves progress and everybody wishes to benefit from it. But we have to keep in mind also the impact of the progress. We change in our mobile phones every year or 2 years. We invest a lot in new things, new technologies. But again, we have to see and to believe that the progress will work also for diminish the impact of the environment. Now, our message is always think about what is happening with the stuff that you own, that you work on it at the end of his life. It has to end up in a proper collection scheme with proper dismantling and recycling and depollution taking place there. And I say that because we see a lot of examples of bad, improper measure of treatment. We see things shipped out to Africa or Southeast Asia, where plastic is not proper treated, where metals with values are not proper extracted, and people working there have real issues with health and safety. So, yeah, digital is important. Digital brings new technology. Digital means also better or efficient use of resources. At the same time, when you work on projects, you have to keep in mind, okay, what's happening at the end of the life of this product? What's happening with the product that I replace by purchasing new equipment? They are waste, and they should be treated properly. Thank you.
Okay, I like to give examples, and I would, let's say, describe shortly a new application which is being developed by Literati of USA. Forbes has just reported that Literati, a US company, has been given a grant worth 700,000 euros in order to develop an artificial intelligence-based application that is meant to boost research on machine learning in order to identify all kinds of waste all over the world. The Literati company will use this mobile application to offer a participative approach to data and waste all over the world. The application will encourage a responsible behavior, as we all identified here as a paradigm, or let's say a basic priority for all of us. So the application will encourage this responsible behavior towards the environment. And the procedure is that once any of us spots waste placed in a wrong place, one can take a picture of it, and then the application will apply a geo tag to the picture and the date and the place. And then the image will be stocked in a database in order to create, let's say, a mapping of the waste all over the world. Authorized collectors will then proceed and collect the waste from the place, and then the waste will go along the stream to being dismantled and recycled at the end of the day. Now I will ask again our colleagues if they want to emphasize some new aspects of, let's say, prevention of pollution and safeguarding, let's say, the planet by sensible measures. And then, of course, we would like to address to you the invitation to ask us some questions for the last 10 minutes or so.
I will comment that idea. It's a kind of waste Google map. So many times I was going with a small man on the Google map. I was trying also to look if there's any littering around. So this is becoming reality. Okay, another thing I would like to say, we have in front of us the very fast development, which is creating waste by evolution of the technology. So a technology is becoming obsolete in a few months now, maybe 1 year, a laptop maybe 2-3 years. So it is also a direction which is indicated by the new concept of circular economy, of repairing and reusing. Sometimes it works. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of conflict here because the speed of development of new technology is so fast that reusing is not really possible in many of these cases. And we have to really to see what is a concept and rethink all these new products from the very beginning, creating a good cooperation between designer, producer, distributor, and why not the end user. So what I wanted to mention is, yes, it's good to repair and reuse, but we will see such a speed of this progress mentioned by my colleague that we are really in a position to throw a lot of good functional things, but which are already obsolete regarding the level of technology. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, Dragoș, you want to add anything, or we go directly to...
Just to mention something about critical raw materials, if you heard. It's a report of Commission of what materials are scarce and difficult to, or the supply chain is very difficult. And I give you the example of cobalt. There's no mobility without cobalt. You know, the lithium ion battery contains cobalt. The cobalt, the main reserves are in Congo. The name of the country is exactly from the element there. and cobalt was the source of internal conflict in that country for many, many years. It's still not over there. So yeah, with our progress, with our mobile phone, with our laptop, with our electric car, we may somehow contribute to some best scenarios in some countries. And it's not only the cobalt the issue. There are other rare earths, metals, and a lot of stuff that is, it's scarce. It's not infinite resource. And we have to think about that also.
There is a question, yes.
Hello, my name is Rosalia Bocco from Sapientia University from Romania. And my question would be, you are doing recycling of electronic e-waste. What is the percentage of usable or repairable resources and electronic components and equipments that you could recycle and reuse?
I can answer that. It's especially in Romania, we have quite an interesting case, and one of our studies, since that we done it in 2015, show that 20% of electronics are reused directly to friends or relatives. So when we replace a TV or mobile or something like that, most of the time we give to reuse to our friends or relatives. Most of the time, not in the city, but in the country. And I'm sure it's not the same, it's only Romania case, there's other cases too. But from what we have in our waste streams, so it's what is go to the friends, not showing on the waste streams, it's reused directly. But from the waste streams, it's not so, today's percentage is not so high. It's less than 3%, mainly because of the fact that we throw away things that are not repairable. And the reusage is coming mostly from B2B. So the companies, the banks, the big companies especially, if they don't have the policy to sell to employees when they discard the laptop, they give it to us, and with one of our partners, it's called Atelier Sans Frontières, we refurbish it, and they end up in schools most of the time. Donated, not sales.
I would like to, till the next question comes, I would like to add up here something which I discussed with some colleagues and partners in the break. For the last 3 years or so, we have done several campaigns of collecting IT equipments, mostly computers and multifunctionals. And after refurbishing them in Atelier Frontiere, Atelier Sans Frontières in French, we have donated all these IT equipments to schools in rural areas, to underprivileged communities, to orphanages and on. And this year we have just started a new campaign which will last until October, and we aim at collecting and refurbishing and of course donating at the end of the day by November a total of 2,500 computers to all these communities which are in big demand of IT equipment. Now, for the last 5 minutes or so, another 2 questions, if so, or more. Sorina, you want to ask us a question or to draw some conclusions at the end of this panel?
I'm just carrying the mic around, so nothing.
Okay, you are just, okay, going round and round. So I would invite, let's say, our colleague Constantin Damov to resume a little bit a vision of the major recycler of Romania.
Yeah, I will mention again, maybe we said too many bad things about, is nothing bad about electronics. It's good. Only one remark I want to make it is, I say it's a product which it's artificial made, is not in, cannot be recognized by the nature, so it's fully our responsibility to take care about it. There is a big perspective to rethink the design and the rest of responsibilities in the chain, like repairing and reusing, and at the end ideal will be that all these rare metals and the very expensive material that are inside to go back in the new product. This is what we are targeting, and it is ideal.
Okay, so the last call, if we have one last question. If not, I would end up by thanking you for being patient and listening to our vision and to our, let's say, priorities in the field of sustainability. And I would just quote a well-known English saying that says, "One man's trash is another man's treasure." So this saying goes well along with the criteria and the principles of keeping the environment safe and durable for the next generations to come. Thank you again for your attention, and let's say meet you in the break for further discussions. Thank you.